Let's go over the fall 2012 test number 2. First question, what was the point of showing the Excel chart demonstration in class? Well, maybe we didn't go over that particular one in class, but the video, the main point was to show that you can use a lot of the same skills that you've learned with Python in other languages as well, such as Visual Basic. And you can really look to apply what you've learned here to other jobs and automate those repetitive tasks that you do over and over again. Don't feel like you're just stuck with Python and creating games. There's so much more that you can do. Go out there and learn how to do it. Next up, write a while loop that prints the numbers starting at 500 down to 100 and count by tens. Make sure to print both the numbers 500 and 100. Okay, I'll flip over here and do this in Python. Starting at 500, so I'm going to call this I, and I'm going to set it equal to 500. And I'm going to do a while loop. I want to loop as long as I'm at least above 100. Or equal to 100. I want to include 100, so I'm going to do greater than or equal to 100. What's greater than or equal to 100? I. As long as I is greater than or equal to 100. I do not need to do anything like less than or equal to 500 because I know it's not going to get bigger. Then I'm going to print I. Then I'm going to subtract from I 10. If I run this, see if it works. 500 by 10s down to 100. There we go. Write a function that prints the name of your favorite liquid beverage. Okay, I'll just replace this. Def drink print coffee. There we go. That's all there is to it. 2 lines of code. Shows that you know how to define a function and how you get it to do something. In this case, just a simple print. Write code that calls the function in the prior problem. Can we call it? That's easy. Drink, open close parentheses. We're calling the function, and I'll just run it, make sure it works. There you go, prints out coffee. Next up. Write a function that will take in 3 numbers and return how many are the same. For example, passing in 5, 5, and 5 should return a 3, passing in 5, 4, and 4 should return 2, and passing in 3, 4, 5 would return a 0. There are 2 different ways that this problem could be done. The first way is up on the screen. Define a function, such as match, take in 3 numbers, a, b, and c, and then use an if statement, a set of if statements, to check to see if a is equal to b and b is equal to c. That is, they're all equal to each other. I don't really need, if a is equal to b and b is equal to c, I don't need to check to see if a is equal to c. Return a 3. Otherwise, if one of those matches, either a and b, b and c, or c and a, return a 2. Otherwise, none of them are matching, return a 0. This will successfully manage to return out your matches. There's another way that I've seen people do on the test. It doesn't quite work, but I'm going to go ahead and show that to you. This uses a pattern that we've done before where we try to count the matches and find them. It's really not a bad try, but it doesn't quite work. In this case, if I enter a 5, 5, and 4, a and b will equal to each other. Matches will add 1. So I'll return a 1. A and c will not equal each other. B and c will not equal each other. Therefore, I'm going to return a 1 when really I wanted to return a 2. And this function just doesn't quite work the way I want it to. If they were all equal to each other, it would return a 3. But this isn't quite the solution that we're looking for. And so I'll say no on this one, but that prior one would work. Write code that will call the function in the prior problem and print the result. Make up the numbers that are passed in. All you need for something like that is to do print match 6, 7, and 7 maybe. This will call the match function with 3 numbers, which will return a value, and then we'll print it. The other way you could do it, Take a variable, set it equal to the result of the function, and print that variable. That would work fine too. We go ahead and run it. And I get a 2. Works fine. Problem number 7. What does this code print? Okay, let's figure it out. I'm going to go ahead and follow it in the debugger. I realize you won't have that in a test, but the idea is that can you figure this out yourself in a test? And this is that same code. I'm going to go ahead and run it. First line that executes is going to be this A line. These function definitions that I have up here aren't going to do anything until I call them. The first function that's going to be called is the A function. Therefore, when I call the A function, I'm going to drop up to the function A, and the first thing that's going to print out will be A start that we can see down there. Next, I'm going to call the C function. Therefore, I'm going to go into the C function down here, and what's the next thing I'm going to print? It's going to be C. After I've printed the C function, I'm going to return to where I was at before. And where was I at before? I was in the A function. Therefore, I've just finished C, and I'm going to do the next line in the A function, which is going to be to call the B function. Going into the B function, I can see that I'm going to print B start. Then I'm going to call the C function. Drop down here to the C function. I'm going to print C. Where was I at before? I was in the B function. I'm going to go back to where I was at before. I'm going to print B end, and then I'm going to go back to where I was at before I called the B function, which was right here is where I called the B function. So I'm going to go back to here, print A end, and then I'm going to go back to where I was at before I called the A function, which was down here, and then I'm done. Final answer being A start, C, B start, C, B end, A end. And there we go. Next up, what does this code print? Okay, this is more complex than the prior problem, number 7. Let's figure out what this program would do. This time we're not going to step through it. We'll actually do it in writing, kind of like what you do on the test. First off, these functions aren't going to do anything until they're called. I could ignore them. Next up, x equals 5. Well, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to create a separate spot, and I'm going to call this x is equal to 5. Then I'm going to print g1 and x. Alright, I'm going to create another spot over here for what I print, g1 and whatever the value of x is, which is 5. And there's a space in there because of the comma. Next, I call the b function, passing it in x, which is currently 5. Drop up here to the b function, x is equal to 5. I'm going to call this the b function, and x is equal to 5. This is an entirely different x than this x up here. There's the local x and the x that's local to b. So therefore I've got the b function, x is equal to 5. I'm going to print b1x, value of x, which is 5. I'm going to call a with the value of x. Okay, come up here, a, calling it with x. Great, I've now got 3 variables, all named x, but they're entirely different variables. X is equal to 5 because that's what is passed in. Print a1, value of 5. X equals x plus 5. Which x? I'm in the a function, so it's a's x. Print a2, the value of x. I'm now returning, right here, a 10. Great. Therefore, I go back to where I was called, which is right here. This essentially becomes a 10, and what do I do with it? Nothing. Now, if I had done x equals 10, then the value of this guy's x would be 10. But I don't have x equals 10, and therefore the 10 that was returned, nothing happens to it, just falls on the floor. I still have this function right here. The b's x will be 5. And when I return out of that, I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to do G2, and that's going to be this 5 right here will be 5. There you go. That's what this problem will print out. Kind of a complex problem, but if you take it step by step, it's not too bad. Problem number 9. What is the value of x? Okay, I've got a function here, def sum a and b. I'm going to print a and b. X equals sum 11 and 12. Okay, whatever is returned from this function is going to be the value we stuffed into x. What value is returned out of this function? No value at all. This isn't return a plus b, it's print a plus b. There is no return. Therefore, the value of x will be nothing. Technically in Python, that's called none, N-O-N-E. But if you basically say something along the lines that the function doesn't return anything, so x has no value, then you've got the point. Write a function that will take in an array and print each element individually. Oh, this is easy. Write a function. I'm going to call this print array. I realize in a test you can write something a little bit shorter. And it takes in an array. Just any old variable. I'm going to call it my array. You call it something shorter since you're writing it. If you want to do something for each item in the array, it's simply for item in my array. And then you can print the item. There we go. That's all there is to it. And that problem has been finished. Write a function that will take in an array and return the sum. Okay, let's do the prior problem and modify it a little bit. I need to set sum equal to 0 to begin with. For each item, I want to add it to the sum. And I need to return it when I'm done with it. And I probably need to call this something like sum array. It is rather important to not have a variable the same as your function name. Therefore, don't call this sum and call this variable sum. That's just really confusing. Make sure that they're different. Take a look at the code blocks below. Explain or write out how their output will be different. The only difference between these two code blocks, the indentation of this guy, here and here. In this case, it happens directly after the asterisk. Therefore, I got two nested loops, 3 and 3, meaning the inside loop will operate 3 times 3, or 9 times. It's going to print an asterisk. This says don't go to the next line. The end equals double quote, double quote. But this says do go to the next line. Therefore, I'll print an asterisk, carriage return, asterisk, carriage return. Block 1 will print a vertical column of 9 asterisks. Block 2, also the inside loop, operates 9 times. It says print out an asterisk, don't go to the next line. This operates 3 times, and then because of the indentation right here, I will next do the print statement. Therefore, I will print 3 asterisks, next line, 3 asterisks, next line, 3 asterisks. Therefore, I will get a block, a 3 by 3 block of asterisks. Vertical line of 9 asterisks, 3 by 3 block of 9 asterisks. What does this code print? Right here, this length function gives me the length of x. Therefore, I need to figure out how long x is. X is a list, and I can tell that because I got these square brackets. How many elements are in this list? That's the outside list, not the inside list. This first item right here, even though it's a list of basically an element here, an element here, and an element here, it's going to be counted as one whole item. Here's one item. Here's item number 2, item number 3, item number 4, and this will be item number 5. It is true, arrays start at 0, so this would actually be element 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But as far as the length is concerned, we do have 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and therefore this will print out a 5. This code should count the number of times a number appears in an array, in this case 2. There are 5 things wrong with this code. Find at least 4. Okay, def, count numbers, the list, and the key. Alright, I'm going to set count equal to 0 to begin with. Sounds decent. For I in range list. Wait, this isn't right, because I am starting to blend the two types of loops. Whatever goes in here should be a number. Anything that goes inside range should be a number. Am I giving it a number? No, I'm giving it a list. That's not right. Therefore, I need to make up my mind, and this doesn't work at all. What I need to do is something like for item in list. Not use the range, or do for I in range list, the length of the list, len of list, to actually get the number of items. So I'm going to do this for item in list, and if list is equal to the key, I don't want to check the whole list because the list could be 100 items. Is the key equal to all 100 items? No, that's not right. This list is every item. This should be a particular item, the item we're checking. Count plus equals 1. That's good. Oh, return count? I don't want to return count until the list is done iterating. This should go over here. It should not operate until my for loop is done. Okay, so I found a couple items there. Next up, here's my list. That's great. C equals count numbers. Count numbers, count numbers. These are the same, so that's the right function name. List, list. Whoa, wait a minute. I called it my list here. There is no list. My list. Print count. Wait, I set it equal to C here, so this should be C. Okay, wrong. This is wrong. Let's do item number 1. This is wrong. Item number 2. This is wrong. Item number 3. This is wrong. Item number 4. This is wrong. Item number 5. Therefore, we got our 5 items that are wrong with this code. This code's pretty messed up, and we're done. What 2 things are wrong with this code? Please explain. Define print circle area chart. Okay, so it's printing some sort of chart about circle area. Start, end. For R in range, start, end. Okay. Granted, it won't include this last one. It'll include the first one. Def. Whoa, wait a minute. I've got a function right in the middle of another function. This is totally wrong. This should go up here. Functions should not appear inside of other functions. Area equals circle area R. Okay, wait. Does this function return anything? No, it doesn't. It just prints something. This should return, not print. Because whatever it'll return, this will equal, but if it doesn't return anything, it won't equal anything. Alright, those are the 2 things that are wrong with that code, and we're done. What would this code snippet print to the screen? Okay, first it'll print an A. Backslash, backslash. One escaped backslash. Backslash, backslash. One escaped backslash. A B. The B is not backslash. Remember, these backslashes work in pairs. Therefore, I'm going to print out a B. Backslash N. Carriage return. I'm now down here. C. Backslash quote. Quote. D. And the ending terminator right here. There we go. Escape characters. If you're not really quite sure what's going on, go back to the escape character chapter. I'm trying to confuse you by sticking a whole bunch of escape characters next to each other to see if you can pull them out and remember that they happen in pairs. Next up, what would the following code print? Okay, print 0, 0 plus 1, 1. These are in strings. They're concatenated, so they will print right after each other. Not in a string, not in a string. They aren't concatenated. They are used as a mathematical expression. 11 plus 0 is equal to 11. That's supposed to be an 11. There we go. And yay, we're done with the test, and we're all good to go.